Hello and welcome to the Blood Red's Morning Bulletin. I'm joined by Emmet Gates to take you through the morning headlines. First of all, Luis Diaz was involved in Colombia's defeat to Argentina last night. He didn't really get much of the ball by the looks of it. I think he had 36 touches in total, but the most important thing for Liverpool is that he escaped injury-free and he's going to be coming back on Thursday, we believe, arriving at the club and sorting out his work permit and everything else. What do you make of his transfer, Emmet? How excited are you by his arrival?
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I haven't seen a whole lot of Luis Diaz. Obviously, I've seen him in action for Porto in the Champions League. Obviously, the couple of games against Liverpool. I saw him the couple of games against Milan. But in the whole, I haven't seen a lot of him other than, once it kind of became clear that the deal was going to happen, you go on YouTube and you're like a lot of people, unless you're a fan of Portuguese football, you just go on YouTube and look at highlights. But I mean, yeah, he seems like a very good fit for Liverpool and for Jurgen Klopp's side. Kind of what I wrote about a few days ago on .com. There are shades of Philippe Coutinho in the fact that he cuts in from the left hand side and whips the ball into the opposite corner. But obviously he's more powerful, stronger, and better heading than Coutinho. So in a lot of ways, he's kind of a massive upgrade. And I really do think he will settle in well. Obviously, it will take him time to get used to the new club, new language. I don't know if he speaks English or whatever, but obviously all these issues help a player, integrating into the team. And yeah, like really, really, really excited. And obviously it kind of came out of the blue because we didn't expect Liverpool to do any business in January, really. And then, just was it Friday morning? Oh, this is happening. So yeah, I mean that kind of always gets the blood flowing when a signing kind of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, Diaz is definitely, when you consider the price tag involved and what he will offer, it's a very shrewd piece of business for Liverpool.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned he's a bit similar to Coutinho. I think what was evident last night is he only took 36 touches, but he had 2 shots. So that's a pretty good return, I would say, in terms of output. And when you say in terms of settling in Liverpool, are helped by the fact that they do have 2 Portuguese-speaking coaches in Pep Linders and Vitor Matos, who might be able to help him when he does arrive at the club. And it's definitely exciting times. Now, it wasn't just Diaz involved in international games last night. We had Takumi Minamino scoring for Japan against Saudi Arabia in an important World Cup qualifier. Are you surprised that he stayed at the club? And how involved do you think he's going to be in the first team heading into the rest of the season, considering Diaz has arrived as well now?
Yeah, it looks a bit perilous for Minamino at Liverpool. To be honest, I mean he was hardly getting a kick of a ball even before Luis Diaz arrived, and even with Sadio Mane and Mo Salah at AFCON, he was hardly playing. I mean, in the last game against Palace, Jurgen Klopp preferred Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to Minamino, which to me was a damning indictment of where Minamino is in the pecking order. So I think it was him staying in January was obviously just a case of no clubs, proposing a serious offer or an offer, offering the amount of money that Liverpool would have liked to have, received for him. I think that's the only reason why he's staying at Liverpool. And obviously there was talk of a Leeds bid, but maybe they didn't offer enough. But at the same time, Liverpool can't really expect to demand 15, 20 million for him when he's hardly played, and clubs know that. So that's why they're maybe presenting low ball offers. So Liverpool kind of have to, come to terms with that maybe they might not get a lot of money for Minamino and just let him go if, he really wants to go. And obviously, clearly there's no real room for him in the first 11. So you kind of think maybe just it's best for all concerned, everyone cuts ties and just move on.
I think what was surprising is there were reports in the last few days that he actually wanted to stay at Liverpool and he asked to stay. And I think it's interesting because he's been really involved in the League Cup, and obviously there's the final coming up, and that's an opportunity for him to win his first ever trophy at Liverpool. So I think in terms of that, there is incentive for him to stay, and I think Liverpool will counter that as well and say, look at his goal contribution per 90 output, which has been quite high ever since he's arrived at Liverpool. I think it's 0.59 goal contributions per 90 overall and 0.86 goal contributions this season, which is pretty good per 90. Now, there's an international game tonight as well. Sadio Mane is going to be involved for Senegal in the AFCON semi-finals. I think they're playing against, not quite sure who they're playing against. But, yeah, exactly. And it looks like they have a good chance of making it to the final. How important do you think it is for Sadio Mane, who obviously made it to the final last time in the AFCON, to win the trophy this time around?
Yeah, I mean, it would be huge. I could be wrong on this, but I'm nearly certain I read recently that Senegal have never won the AFCON, which I find amazing if it's true. I mean, I really should have fact-checked that before we started this bulletin. But I mean, if Senegal haven't won the AFCON, considering the talent that they have had in the last 2 decades, that is amazing. And it would be huge, I think, for obviously to win with your country is completely different to winning with your club. And considering that Senegal haven't won anything, maybe this competition ever, definitely in a long time, I think it would be really good for Sadio Mane. And yeah, obviously it's a different feeling with your club than your country, and obviously your country would probably, on a personal level, mean more. But yeah, I mean, it would be huge for Senegal to win, and you probably see them getting into the final, obviously with Egypt and Cameroon on the other side of the draw. So yeah, definitely a final appearance at the very least for Sadio Mane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's pretty remarkable if Senegal haven't actually won the African Cup of Nations. I will say,
I'm nearly certain I read that the other day, and I was kind of like, what? They've never won AFCON?
Yeah. What I will say as well is we've seen at Liverpool, when Liverpool won a trophy or made it to the final, it kind of gives you a quench for winning silverware and stuff. And, if Mane can potentially lift the African Cup of Nations and then come back and win another trophy later on, that would be the perfect scenario, I think, for everyone involved. But back to sort of Liverpool and not the international football. The team came back to training yesterday, and we've seen Harvey Elliott. It was again sort of plenty of pictures going around him on social media. Obviously, he was involved against Wrexham in a behind closed doors game. Do you think there's a chance that we could see him feature against Cardiff at the weekend?
I mean, you kind of, with Harvey Elliott, you want the club to kind of ease in his transition and not rush him back, even if the player wants it. The club need to be they need to be extra careful with him and ease in his transition. I mean, I'm sure he would like to come back, and the fans would like to see him come back as quickly as possible. But, from what you read, players at his age are more susceptible to picking up another serious injury if they're rushed back too quick. And I mean, it's only been 5-6 months for an injury that maybe he should be really recuperating in 7 to 8 to 9. So you kind of, on the one hand, yeah, you would like to see him back. On the other hand, you have to think of long term and think, well, maybe gently ease him back in maybe April time as opposed to February. So as much as you kind of would like to see it, I think the club need to think long term and do what's best for the player, and his physical well-being, as opposed to just throwing him in for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end of the Cardiff game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only likelihood really, is to see him play a few minutes at the end of the game and have a nice sort of welcome on his return. I think that's all for the headlines for now. Be sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today, and our articles on the Liverpool Echo and Liverpool.com. Yeah, thank you for listening, guys.